Welcome to NK Academy. Today we are going to read the third chapter from First Flight, Two Stories About Flying. This chapter has two stories. First, his first flight by Liam O'Flaherty. Second, Black Aeroplane by Frederick Forsyth. In this video, we will be reading the story His First Flight. Now, this story is about a seagull. Do you know what a seagull is?
Seagulls. Seagulls are a type of seabird. They generally have a white body, gray wings, and a yellow beak. But some are more speckled. Have you ever been to the beach? Well, then you probably have seen some sneaky seagulls. Be careful though, because they might try to steal your fish and chips. Seagulls are carnivores that scavenge. This means they eat meat, like small fish or crabs. But they will also find food where they can, diving into the water. They're also great at flying and gliding. And did you know seagulls can drink both salty seawater and fresh water?
So, aren't they beautiful? Yes, the seagulls are so beautiful. Now, the hero of our story is a young seagull. And this young seagull was very scared to fly. All his younger siblings, despite their much shorter wings, flew fearlessly while he could not gather the courage to trust his own wings. Now let's read the lesson and try to find out the answers to the following questions. Why doesn't he fly? Second, whether he flies at the end of the lesson. Third, if at all he flies at the end of the story, who motivated him to fly? Fourth, what do we learn from the story? The young seagull was alone on his ledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. He had been afraid to fly with them. Somehow, when he had taken a little run forward to the brink of the ledge and attempted to flap his wings, he became afraid. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath, and it was such a long way down, miles down. The situation here is the young seagull is sitting alone on his ledge. Ledge means a narrow horizontal surface projecting from a wall. So he was sitting on his ledge. He was all alone. And why is he alone? Because all his sibling means his brothers and sisters, that is, all his siblings had flown away. And why didn't he fly away? Because he was scared to fly. He had never flown before this. This is the first time when his parents were teaching him to fly. It's not that he didn't try. He ran forward to the brink. That is, he ran towards the edge of the ledge and tried to take a flight. But when he looked at the vast sea down, he was terrified. He decided not to fly. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. So he bent his head and ran away back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. Even when each of his brothers and sisters, whose wings were far shorter than his own, ran to the brink, flapped their wings, and flew away, he failed to muster up courage to take that plunge which appeared to him so desperate. He thought that his wings will not support him in flying, and so he went back to ledge and slept. The irony was his siblings had shorter wings, but still they flew away. But this eagle couldn't muster up the courage to fly. That is, he couldn't gather his courage to fly. So, children, we have seen that to do a task, the most important thing is courage. One may be physically weak, yet he can do the most difficult things if he has courage, confidence, and willpower. His father and mother had come around calling to him shrilly, upbraiding him, threatening to let him starve on his ledge unless he flew away. But for the life of him, he could not move. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, nobody had come near him. The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying about with his brothers and sisters, perfecting them in the art of flight, teaching them how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. So now, when the seagull was not ready to fly, his parents upbraided him and scolded him, threatened him too. They warned him that he would have to starve if he did not fly. But our seagull did not pay any heed, that is, did not listen. After that, nobody came to him. He saw his parents teach his siblings how to skim the waves and how to dive for fish. He had in fact seen his older brother catch his first herring and devour it, standing on a rock while his parents circled around raising a proud cackle. And all the morning the whole family had walked about on the big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. The sun was now ascending the sky, blazing on his ledge that faced the south. He felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous nightfall. He saw his older brother catch his first herring. Herring is a small silvery fish, and he saw that his elder brother was devouring it. Devour means eat hungrily. And now our hungry young seagull was looking at him, and his parents were circling round proudly, appreciating his older brother. It was growing hot as the sun was ascending the sky. Ascending means rising up. The young seagull was feeling very hot and hungry, as he had not eaten anything. His family members were making fun of him and calling him a coward. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge, and standing on one leg with the other leg hidden under his wing, he closed one eye, then the other, and pretended to be falling asleep. Still, they took no notice of him. He saw his two brothers and a sister lying on the plateau, dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. His father was preening the feathers on his white back. Do you remember, children, that last night our seagull had not eaten anything? He had just gone into the hole on the ledge and slept. Now he came out to the edge of the ledge. He stood there and acted like he was dozing. He wanted his family to see him, but nobody took notice of him. His father too was engrossed in preening his feathers. Only his mother was looking at him. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, her white breast thrust forward. Now and again she tore at a piece of fish that lay at her feet and then scraped each side of her beak on the rock. The sight of food maddened him. Now he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and again to wet it. He finds that only his mother was looking at him, but she too had a fish in her mouth. This sight maddened him. He was hungry and he loved eating fish. Why is the mother not giving him the fish? Have you ever thought? It's because she wanted him to fly. She wanted the young seagull to muster courage to fly. She was using food as a bait. She knows that he cannot survive if he doesn't fly. Sometimes parents have to be strict for the good of their children. Sometimes your parents also become very strict and compel you to do certain things. Why do they do this? It's only for your good. Ga, 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 he cried, begging her to bring him some food. Gakola, she screamed back derisively. But he kept calling plaintively, and after a minute or so he uttered a joyful scream. His mother had picked up a piece of the fish and was flying across to him with it. He leaned out eagerly, tapping the rock with his feet, trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when she was just opposite to him, she halted, her wings motionless, the piece of fish in her beak almost within reach of his beak. The seagull started begging his mother to give him some food, but she shouted at him derisively. Derisively means in a manner that shows complete lack of respect, but he kept on requesting her plaintively. Plaintively means sadly. Then his mother picked up the fish and flew towards him. The young seagull became very happy and excited, but his happiness was short lived as the mother stopped very near to him. He waited a moment in surprise, wondering why she did not come nearer, and then, maddened by hunger, he dived at the fish. With a loud scream, he fell outwards and downwards into space. Then, a monstrous terror seized him, and his heart stood still. He could hear nothing, but it only lasted a minute. The next moment, he felt his wings spread outwards. The wind rushed against his breast feathers, then under his stomach and against his wings. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air. He was not falling headlong now. When he saw his mother stop, he was shocked and surprised. Then, the very next moment, maddened by hunger, he dived at fish. He fell outwards and downwards, and lo, the magic happened. He found himself flying in the sky. He realized that he will not fall, but he can fly. He was soaring gradually downwards and outwards. He was no longer afraid. He just felt a bit dizzy. Then he flapped his wings once and he soared upwards. Ga, 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 gakola. His mother swooped past him, her wings making a loud noise. He answered her with another scream. Then his father flew over him screaming. He saw his two brothers and his sister flying round him, curveting and banking and soaring and diving. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly, and commended himself to die and soar and curve, shrieking shrilly. He was near the sea now, flying straight over it, facing straight out over the ocean. He saw a vast green sea beneath him, with little ridges moving over it. He turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. He was no longer scared now. His parents and his siblings circled him, and all of them started flying happily. He totally forgot that this was his first flight. He started soaring up and curving, shrieking shrilly. He was no longer afraid of the ocean. His parents and his brothers and sister had landed on his green flooring ahead of him. They were beckoning him, calling shrilly. He dropped his legs to stand on the green sea. His legs sank into it. He screamed with fright and attempted to see rise, again flapping his wings. But he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise, exhausted by the strange exercise. His feet sank into his green sea, and then his belly touched it, and he sank no farther. He was floating on it, and around him his family was screaming, praising him, and their beaks were offering him scraps of dogfish. He had made his first flight. So, finally, we see that the whole family was enjoying. His family was encouraging him and appreciating him. They offered him scraps of dogfish. That's how our young seagull learned to fly, and this was his first flight. This we come to the end of the story. Now let's have a look at the theme of the story. The theme of the story is success comes to those who have self-confidence and faith in themselves. Initially, the young seagull lacked confidence and courage. He didn't have faith in himself, so he was scared to fly. But later on, when his mother motivated him, he took his first flight. To sum up, we can say that if a person feels he can, he will do it. But if a person feels he can't, he will never be able to do it.